Hi, I'm Rachel Abbott, and welcome back to the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast. Coming up, it's here. Nintendo officially reveal their Switch 2 console. But first, University of Cambridge experts are warning that reptiles are slipping unnoticed into northern Europe in shipments of flowers and houseplants.
There's quite a lot of diversity, in particular this data set that we were able to access from our colleagues in the Netherlands shows that most of them are European species from Southern Europe, Italian wall lizards, for instance, and Italian ruin lizards, Podarticulus. These are very often moved across, as well as geckos. However, at the same time, there are also species from Africa and Central and South America. Typically geckos and other small lizards, but also sometimes snakes, legless lizards, frogs and toads.
Dr Silviu Petrovan there, former vet and senior researcher at the University of Cambridge from the Department of Zoology. And it was one particular case that sparked Dr Petrovan's interest.
In my previous job, sometimes people would actually send emails with images of amphibians for me to identify. Sometimes, it would be the odd frog in a package of spinach from Spain. Nothing spectacular. However, on this one occasion, there was a florist who sent this image, and when I looked at it, I thought it was a prank because it was very clearly not a European species. And then we started talking, and he said, no, the shipment of roses is actually from Ecuador, which, I was quite gobsmacked about. I had no idea that there was a large-scale shipment of cut flowers from South America into Europe. And then working with Ecuadorian specialists, we actually worked out that, in fact, it wasn't even a tree frog from Ecuador. It was from Colombia that had been shipped with this transport of roses, of fresh-cut roses, to Ecuador, and then from Ecuador into Britain, and it actually made it out alive, which I think is quite extraordinary.
Despite regulations and border checks, the volume of fast-moving plant shipments makes it difficult to detect species. But why are they sounding the alarm? Well, according to their report, published in the journal Bioscience, it's believed the species can cause extensive damage to food crops and the native environment.
The biggest worries, I think, are in relation to insect pests, because they can pose serious risks both for agriculture and also for the wider natural environment. The large-scale movement of ornamental plants has the potential to bring new species, in particular now with the increase in tropical areas as major producers of these ornamental plants.
With colleagues from Oxford, Hong Kong and the Netherlands, the team explored the environmental and social risks of the international trade in ornamental plants, a multi-billion-dollar and growing industry with global supply chains and expansion of producers in tropical countries. Their study highlights that while this trade brings important economic benefits for the producing communities and countries, it also raises significant concerns about biosecurity and introduced species. However, Dr Petrovan told Tech and Science Daily that any policy changes need to carefully balance these risks with the importance of this trade for those countries and communities, because floriculture offers significant employment in rural areas and often is particularly important for women. Next, and as we approach the weekend before inauguration, the current US President, Joe Biden, has reportedly said he won't enforce the TikTok ban and will instead hand the decision to President-elect Trump, who will be sworn in for his second term of presidency on Monday, the 20th of January. The ban of the social media app is due to come into force on Sunday, the 19th of January, but two administration officials have reportedly said the White House won't implement the law during Biden's presidency. Trump has seemed to warm to the idea of keeping the Chinese ByteDance-owned social media app, despite his previous opinions, but it is not currently known how his administration will move next. As we reported on Thursday, it is believed that the boss of TikTok will attend his inauguration. To hear our special episode on the timeline of events and everything you need to know about the impending TikTok ban, tap the link in our show notes. Now, the Switch 2 is official. After months of speculation and rumour, Nintendo has finally taken the wraps off its long-rumoured new console, alongside a refreshed Mario Kart game in a trailer on their socials. Saqib Shah, the London Standard's tech and gaming reporter, explains all.
So it was due an upgrade, and it looks like that's what we're getting. So it looks like it has a bigger form factor. It looks like it has a bigger screen, could be around 8 inches, which is about 1.8 inches bigger than the original Switch and 1 inch bigger than the Switch OLED model that came out after the original one. In terms of the design, it looks more muted, right? So it's mainly like an all black console, a splash of like blue and orange on the two controllers. And, that looks a bit more like the Steam Deck. It looks a bit more serious. Maybe it gives us some clue as to, the fact that Nintendo might be planning to give us more than just kind of like the colorful, child-friendly games, third-party games, so games that are made by other developers that are might be a bit more mature, or, for slightly older gamers as well. So it might cater to, I'd say, a bigger crowd.
Saqib told Tech and Science Daily that the hybrid device looks virtually identical to the leaked models that have trickled out over the past few weeks. But when can we actually buy one?
All Nintendo said during the presentation was 2025, right? That's the date it kind of showed on the screen. But the leaks and rumors that have surrounded the console have said any time between kind of April to June. And I think generally the kind of consensus is leaning a bit more towards June. Nintendo is actually holding these public demos where, people can register and go and try out the Switch. There's actually going to be one in London at the Excel Centre between April 11 and 13th. And I think you can probably start registering for it now or very soon.
To learn more, Saqib has an article live on standard.co.uk. We'll pop a handy link in this episode's notes as well. Next. Over a week after wildfires devastated Los Angeles, forcing tens of thousands of residents to flee their homes, firefighters are still battling the two largest fires, and a risk remains for toxic air quality, debris, and hazardous materials. 27 people are confirmed dead, and 18 are still missing after the blaze razed 20 square miles of the city when it flared in the wealthy Pacific Palisades neighborhood and was fanned by strong winds. But while stories of celebrity homes being destroyed have occupied much of the headlines, the impact is being felt acutely by all Angelenos, particularly those on lower incomes. The London Standard's Mark Blunden spoke with Kenia Alcocer, organiser at Union de Vecinos, part of the Los Angeles Tenants Union.
Are you okay in terms of where you are, your personal situation?
The air quality is not good. My children have to mask up. I have a son that was born with a lot of medical complications, so his lungs didn't really develop. So having to make sure that he is okay, and having to make sure that the school that he's going to have air filters, and that if he starts gasping for air, they call me immediately. Those type of things, those are the type of concerns that we're seeing, at least with my family. It's my son and my daughter who suffers from allergies. Those are the main concerns right now.
To hear the full interview, make sure to search the Standard podcast from 4 p.m. And finally,
3, 2, 1.
the sound of a SpaceX Starship rocket launching there. However, the rocket broke up just minutes after launching in Texas, forcing flights over the Gulf of Mexico to change course to dodge falling debris and setting back Elon Musk's flagship rocket program. SpaceX Mission Control lost contact with the newly upgraded Starship on Thursday, carrying its first test payload of mock satellites, but no crew 8 minutes after liftoff from its South Texas rocket facilities at 5:38 p.m. GMT.
At this point in time, we can confirm that we did lose the ship. However, Starship booster came back for the second ever booster catch at the launch tower, which was pretty incredible to see.
Clips are courtesy of the Associated Press. Orange balls of light streaked across the sky over the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince, leaving trails of smoke behind. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk posted a video on X showing the debris field, posting that success is uncertain, but entertainment is guaranteed. and you're up to date, come back at 4 p.m. for the Standard podcast. Please do rate this podcast and give us a follow. For all the latest news, head to standard.co.uk.